Okay. So, welcome everybody. And today we have Dr. Nina Bagdasarova, who is an associate professor in the psychology department at the American University of Central Asia. Her work focuses on ethnic diversity, gender equality, and empowerment of people from vulnerable communities. Today, she'll talk to us about her participatory research about Kyrgyz LGBTQ plus people's security and safety concerns and adaptations in Kyrgyzstan. We welcome questions during this 30 to 40-minute presentation. We'll then have 20 to 30 minutes of discussion on the implications of this work for conceptualizations of phenomena like underground existence and everyday resistance. Thank you for being here, and without further ado, we'll turn it over to Professor Bagdasarova.
Okay, now I start sharing. Okay, I believe you see it. Okay.
Yes.
So I put it as a topic that we discussed before, and I will actually tell about one paper which was the final one after the 3-year research project. But I had some publications during the project, so I will share some links. But I like this text the most. It was published in the collection of papers about everyday life and everyday security in Kyrgyzstan. And there were several communities that were discussed in this book, and LGBTQ community also was part of this research, and I was responsible for this part. So before starting, I want to say several words. I didn't prepare the slide for that, but I want to say several words about the methodology of this research, which was participatory research. And mostly it wasn't me who collected the interviews. It was people from the community, and it was not only the interviews, it was a lot of participant observations with diaries. One of my interviewers, the girl, she literally lived with her interviewees, or how to say, not interviewees, but people who agreed to share with her their experience on the everyday security life. Some interviewers just met several times with the interviewees, and it was quite extensive data collection, and it was not like me as an outsider who came for this data to LGBTQ people, though I also collected some data, and actually I quite well known within community, but still I'm not the full part, let's say, real part of the community, though I participate in many events and kind of close to many of the members. I'd prefer to let people tell about themselves by themselves, and that's why I believe this data is really trustworthy, and it's not, how to say, it's not designed to fit to somebody's opinion or something like that. It was in many ways ethnographic kind of research, so the researchers were within this environment, and a lot of words are not just words from the interview, but they supported by observations and even participation in some how to say joint event or something. And for conceptualization, I would say that we used Apodurai's idea of scape. And for the more details, you can look for Apodurai's works. And we decided to apply this idea of the scape that he suggested to use for ethnoscapes, technoscapes, financescapes. We decided to look into securityscapes because we like this approach as something for its holiness, and it's how it's actually up to date today, because it's difficult to look into any community as some real community of people who are living together, but maybe they do belong to some wider, broader spaces of belonging, and they perceived them as some kind of scapes. And part of these scapes are kind of imaginary understanding of these spaces. And we defined, we talked a lot. I have to say a little bit more about the project. The project was conducted by researchers from Central Asia together with German partners from Bonn University and Bonn Center of Conversion. We had the Volkswagen grant, or Volkswagen Foundation. We had a grant for that. And we actually had very extensive discussions for trying to define this idea of securityscapes. And the most challenging part was how to differ securityscapes from some, I don't know, problem solving, because every day we have some problems and maybe they are connected to security as well. When we are starting thinking about something more like escape, something more whole, something more, how to say, something like small vault that I'm living within. And we decided that we will stick to the idea, because we were talking about securities, we decided to stick to idea of existential threats. We considered a lot of threats, and for us, existential threat was not like the threat that is about disrupting your physical existence, but it might be real feeling of the danger that's threatening your world in different ways. For example, it's threatening your identity, or it's threatening your way of life, or something like that. When you feel very unsafe, very insecure, and you feel that you cannot continue living this way. So you are doing something in order to prevent this to happen. You are trying to keep all this existentially important thing for you, using some strategies and like in a broader sense, trying to survive in the way you like to survive, or you can survive at the moment. And for me, personally, it was another challenge that not all of my colleagues actually share it. We were quite free to use our own understanding within this framework of Securityscapes understanding. And I was very much interested that if I put Securityscapes as a whole, as I put that as something that in many ways defined my life or determined my life, it couldn't be just space. It couldn't be just place. It must be something that connected to my way of life. And I thought that also because of my observations or my friendship or my closeness to the LGBTQ community for many years, I thought a lot about the time. And I believe that space and time, they are in a way inseparable things. So let's say the time that we spent within the university at this specific like space, it leads us to some specific way of behavior, and we spend some time within these walls. Then we go out, and at home we might be quite different people because we are in another space, and we have another time for being, I don't know, with ourselves, without students, without administrations, without other people around who are looking at you and so on. So I believe that for LGBTQ people, this distinction between different spaces is even more, how to say, not noticed. It's more real, and it's more observable, and it's more important. And then I look into quite old, very short paper of by Michel Foucault that called, it's not even the paper, it was kind of presentation that he did, and he didn't publish it for some time, then he published, and it calls The Other Spaces. And he considered two types of spaces in this paper. One is utopia, and another one is heterotopia. So utopia is the more or less familiar concept for us. This is unreal space, this space that doesn't exist in reality. And usually it doesn't exist in the current time. It's supposed to happen in the future, or it might be in a way maybe description of the very, very, very old past that is describing the usually this is the place that in many ways is opposite to the place and to the space and times and situation that we are living within now. So utopia is kind of opposition to the current situation, and it's not real nor in the space and not in the time. Heterotopia is another issue. Foucault put it like some real spaces, but they are not completely included into mundane reality. We usually, even if we are going there often, like library, for instance, this is very specific space. This is some space with specific rules. This is some space where, and Foucault wrote about that, where time flow is feeling differently. It might be slower, for instance, or faster than it's outside of this heterotopian place. And he provided some examples that are quite, how to say, they're very much, they have like huge borders with everyday lives of a majority of people, like prisons, for instance, or institutions, psychiatric institutions. But some of these heterotopias are not so so secured. They don't have borders, actually. You can go there anytime. It's kind of, I don't know, it might be museum, library, cemetery, some places where you stop reacting in your usual way, and you start feeling yourself differently, more differently, let's say, than in other places where you spend a lot of time every day. And I decided that this conceptualization fits very well to my understanding of the scape. And according to my observations, LGBTQ people, they kind of travel in between various heterotopias and maybe sometimes even utopias, but in utopias you are traveling like in the imagination. And I put 3 types of Securityscapes that LGBT people have to adjust to. That's kind of my mundane space. That's the space of festivals, where mundane space is the space where you have to control yourself all the time. The space for festivals, it's the space for where you can be free and you be, let's say, fully yourself. And the third space is utopian space, where you can think about how would the ideal place of my living, how would it look like? And another thing that I understood, that all these spaces are defined, or they are circling around the body that actually doesn't fit the usual environment, that at least I'm referring to Kyrgyzstan here, that in Kyrgyzstan, if you look differently, or you move differently, or you talk differently, you have to be under permanent self-control in order to not to be so different, in order to use some mimicry to fit to this environment, and not to be spotted, as they put it, that my participants put it in this way. So I believe that for LGBTQ people, and I don't know about other communities, probably it might be about the race, but not about all the ethnic groups. this is something that connected to visibility of your vulnerability, the otherness that you cannot hide, or if you can, it's quite difficult to hide. At least it's quite difficult to hide for a long time. And this is corporeal dimension of safety that was not so noticeable among other groups that we studied during other research, and we studied only vulnerable groups. If there would be the questions, I answer. So what the first? What is the first? I don't know. Does it? What do you see? The first Securityscapes is the I called it like dangerous body in mundane space, mundane life. And this is the usual everyday lives that all the people actually live in. But for LGBTQ people, it's a little bit more, not a little bit, for some of them, it's really more difficult to do. Because, as I said, the main purpose of the behavior in these spaces is not to be spotted. So some strategies like mimicry, like avoiding, they are the usual type of behavior. And sometimes I observed this kind of defense like public confrontation, and I described it in the paper, that sometimes people prefer openly to demonstrate their belonging to community and ask some aggressive questions like, is something wrong with me? Or what is your problem with me? Or something like that. And in many cases, when the opponents see that you are very decisive and you are not joking, they usually just retreat. They don't participate in any fights or do something like that. The fights and attacks that happened to LGBTQ people, they not, I would say in majority cases, they are not started by LGBT people. They are started from the other part of aggressive homophobic people, and they are not, again, in majority cases, the open fight from the beginning. They are attacking the people from the ambush. They can loot the office or do something like that, but they also don't, at least before, during the years when I did my research, they also avoided public confrontation. They didn't want to be involved in any criminal cases or something like that. And in this mundane space, people also have some secure, safe places like LGBTQ organizations, offices, some shelters maybe, friends' apartments, for some people that homes, and for sometimes it's quiet and small cafes or bars that are LGBT friendly, and you can spend time there like without worries. Homes are in question because among our participants, and also this is from the research of my other friends and partners from LGBTQ community about the young LGBTQ people in Kyrgyzstan, the most of them don't have their own space for living. They are living with parents or maybe roommates, and home not is always welcoming and warm place, especially when you are living with the family, and this family is not on your side, which is quite often. So the apartments of some friends who are renting, who can afford to rent apartment, might be the better place for some of them than their own homes. The next slide doesn't go. The next security space is the space for, I don't see my own heading. This is heterotopia, and this is the space that connected not just to the place, but connected to another time. And here I refer to the Roger Caillois idea, the French anthropologist, and also actually the similar ideas might be found. I read something about similar things in Giorgio Agamben's works. That kind of specific time, or Mikhail Bakhtin about masquerades, or carnivals, sorry. There is specific time when people stopped behaving in the usual way and started doing different things, and sometimes completely different things. And in medieval age, it was time for carnivals. There are still some kind of festivals where you can feel it a little bit, but I'm afraid that in our time, it's not so easy to find this type of scape, festive scape. Maybe I don't know how to say it, because maybe if you are political activist or you participate in some public events with your comrades at some moment, and you feel this, I don't know, this unity and belonging, it's maybe close to that, but these type of events, they are usually much more serious, and you cannot be, you anyway have to behave. You have to behave also in some specific way that fits to these circumstances. But this heterotopia that I'm talking about, this is the nightclub, the gay nightclub. Now it's the only one in Bishkek, and now it changed the name and location, but actually it traveled around the city quite a lot, so it's not a big news for everybody. It's quite close. You cannot come in without recommendation, or if you are not with somebody who is familiar with the hosts of the club. And here is the place where you don't have to control your body. And this is was the main point of my idea that why it's close to festivals time that Caillois described, and he, yes, he did it referring to Durkheim, that there are some times when you have right to break the rules, and you skip the hierarchies, you skip the usual social relationships, you skip your usual mode of behavior, and you can do in many ways whatever you want, and in many ways something that is opposite to the your behavior that you are practicing in everyday life. And for me, it feels like gay people or other LGBTQ people, they have to control their bodies so much during the week that these 3 nights that the club is open, which is Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, they can be themselves among themselves. And paradoxically, they are quite safe from the outsiders there, but the let's say the intensity of this emotional breakthrough is usually so high that almost every time when you visit it, you can observe some maybe fights or very, very loud arguments or something like that. So the threat is might find you from inside of the community in these cases. And the hosts of this club, they have these strategies to keep the Securityscape for the community for these 3 nights per week. And they have some strategies with outsiders, mostly with police officers, with neighbors, and they also have some strategies for insiders. So they have, for example, the blacklist of troublemakers who are involved in fights very often, and they try to not to let them in, or if they let them in, they try to keep a close eye on them, or they can suspend you as the punishment if you made some trouble, like last week. Next 2 weeks you wouldn't be let inside, and for many people it's a real, not tragedy, but it's something. It's real punishment, because a lot of people, they, if not every week, but almost every week, they go to this club in companies or by themselves, and they spend this crazy time in London. The previous name of this club was London. And I collected a lot of interviews, and all the people say absolutely the same things about the London and how they spend time there, and that they wouldn't change it for any other fancy restaurant or fancy club in our city.
Sorry to interrupt, Nina. 5 more minutes.
But I think she might have not heard you. Fuad was saying we have 5 more minutes, right? Did I hear that correctly?
Yes, just 5 more minutes for the presentation, please.
There is a question, or I can continue. I didn't get.
We're running out of time, so you have 5 more minutes for the presentation.
Okay. I'm actually watching the time. I have only 2 slides.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay, this is unique security space, and by the way, it's not only for Bishkek, but In Osh, the second biggest city in Kyrgyzstan, the gay community also have something similar, not in the form of nightclub, because it's much more conservative part of our country, but they have some parties, regular parties, and the safe places that they find for that. Usually it's rented houses somewhere in the outskirts of the Osh. And it doesn't move, I don't know why. Okay, and the last one is utopian space. I called it San Francisco because San Francisco was the most frequently repeated part of the world, let's say, and it's definitely was symbolical, where my participant preferred to go to travel or to live in. It sounds like kind of dream, and it was in many cases, in like majority of cases, it was the dream that never would come true, but they still talk a lot about that and think a lot about that. And I would say that this is also kind of Securityscape, when you can, in your imagination, try to think about yourself in some safe space where not just 3 nights per week, but every day in the full day life, light, you can be yourself without any problems. And if there will be questions, I can answer why or how I can actually distinguish these utopian ideas from the real plans to move abroad, because a lot of LGBT people do it. They are moving abroad, but not so many. And I know how do they speak about that and what do they do for that. And when I'm talking about utopian Securityscapes, these people certainly don't do a lot for that, but they do speak a lot about that in some specific wording. And so that's kind of conclusion, and maybe some questions. I don't know how do I reflect the your interests in these questions, but maybe we can discuss what does it mean, what does resistance means for people who are others or perceived as others. Are the Securityscapes spaces of resistance? And if it's interesting, we can talk a little bit about recognition policy and LGBTQ resistance, because in our region, it doesn't look like it looks in other places in the world. So I'm done.
Thank you so much. That was really fascinating. Happy to take any questions. Okay, Chana?
Hi all, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Nina, thanks for the great topic and very well summarizing of the beauty research. I really like the way you approach the spaces of queer community in Kyrgyzstan. It's very interesting. But I also see many similarities in the context of Turkey and Kyrgyzstan about queer communities and queer spaces. What I wanted to ask you, based on your last slide, because I think you're oriented to think about whether these security spaces are can be thought of as resistance strategies or not. So I was thinking about the increasing interest in prefiguration of resistance in social psychological research. So there's a growing literature on prefiguration.
Sorry,
on,
Janan. Your voice is kind of
okay, is it better now?
there's a
Yeah,
lot of static and it's hard to hear.
Is it better now?
Not quite.
Oh, okay. Maybe I'll write my question down rather than speaking so that I don't take too much time.
Sorry, yeah, that might work better.
Okay, I will do that. I will write down.
Thank you. Sorry. In the meantime, go ahead.
Okay, as far as I can get, it was really not so good. I didn't hear good enough, but I was going to tell a couple of words about that anyway, about creating spaces. So recently, because my research was at 2016 to 2019, it's 5 years already when it was finished. So I would say that recently, exactly maybe last 4 years, there are, maybe after pandemic, it became clearer that the young people, they start creating their own spaces that are, I would say, oh, thank you. I will try to answer that. They are, let's say, like in the border, on the border between like specific places for gay people and the people that is open for others who are interested to join. And it's also have some measures for security, but it's much more open, much more inclusive, and a lot of young people who don't belong to community, they are part of these spaces. And I'm not sure again that it is the resistance, but it's, I would say it's kind of building your parallel world when you are not satisfied with the reality around you, and you are looking for some spaces where you feel nice. And you create these spaces. The young people do it. And sorry, I don't know what prefiguration means. Can you?
It is exactly what you're saying, is creating spaces, parallel structures. It's a concept from political science and prefigurative.
Okay, I wasn't aware about. But actually, the nightclubs and these parties, they more traditional. They historically, the Soviet people had them, and they always were there. But these new spaces that are not just for the LGBT and very close friends, but almost for everybody who is more or less want to join. That's a new phenomenon, I would say, and it's not about security. It's about new lifestyle, maybe, because it's not just night parties. It might be like fashion shows. It might be some bars where you can spend time on the regular basis. That something like that. There are more like LGBT-friendly places now that are opened by not by gay people, but friendly young people, like coffee shops, bookstores, something like that.
Yeah, you had the question.
Yeah, thank you so much, Nina. This was super interesting. A lot of what you say reminds me, I'm from Lebanon, and I think there's a lot of parallels with like the lives, the everyday lives of LGBTQ folks in in Beirut and other parts. I have many questions. I'm just going to ask two of them. I think the first is that I think it would help me understand your findings a bit if you can say something of like the structural and cultural context in Kyrgyzstan. I don't know enough. Like, is it, am I still here? Yeah, no.
Sorry, I skipped this.
We can hear you.
You cannot hear me?
Yes, we can. I am.
Sorry for skipping this part. The Kyrgyzstan is quite small.
Am I back? My internet is back.
I also don't hear you. What, do you hear me?
Yes.
Maybe yeah, it's your internet. Kyrgyzstan is post-Soviet country, so it's still have more or less decent educational level of your population, but it's decreasing all the time after the Soviet Union breakdown. It's about 5 million people officially, but more than 1 million of people are working abroad as a labor migrants because our economy is not in very well state, and our government is not care about that so much. So a lot of our citizens are abroad. A lot of our citizens now, like 10, 15 years ago, we were still more or less atheistic country because of the Soviet Union legacy. But now the different Islamic the denomination, first the Christian missionaries came, then Islamic denominations, and some of them are quite conservative. So it doesn't make easier the people, the life of LGBTQ people, and actually for women. And we have a lot of issues recently about women's rights and domestic violence and this kind of things. So I don't mind any religion, just I'm afraid that these discourses among the people, they create a lot of misunderstandings about freedom and some other things. And unfortunately, not a lot of them are really interested in religion. They follow some stereotype points. And I would say we are not free from this global trend of conservative turn, so-called. And we are also within this trend, and in many cases, our country is following Russia and trying to repeat some legislation attempts to limit the visibility of LGBTQ people.
So I wanted to, you can hear me? Yeah, I specifically wanted to ask whether it's illegal to be queer in Kyrgyzstan. Like, is there legislation?
It's not criminalized. And
okay.
They tried to adopt the law similar to Russian about, and I believe they did it recently, similar to Russian about gay propaganda. So you're not criminalized by yourself, but if you talk to minors about these issues, you might be criminal, defined as a criminal. So in this way, these public activities shrinked very much, because before some seminars and LGBTQ events, like December 1st, HIV AIDS Day or some other events, it was not a big deal. And actually the March 8th, the Women Equality Day, it was also, we also were always the part of agenda and go for the meetings every year, but last 2 years we don't go. It became like occupied by liberal feminists and we just don't go there. And it's not safe anymore. But like 5 years ago, we have like rainbow flags walking through the streets. It was not bad. But the situation wasn't like each year, like quite noticeably. But I hope, my hopes are in this new generation that they see things differently. They have this more inclusive, maybe ideas about people and the world around them. But it's also Bishkek and some big Central Asian city. The other places are not so open and friendly, unfortunately. Big cities always are like in better situation here.
Can I follow up or
Yeah, go ahead.
just really quickly a follow-up? So if I understand, at the time where you were collecting this data, the kind of oppression and repression is mostly cultural, it's not legalized. And I guess I'm interested in, oh, I think my internet connection is too unstable. I can also just, I'm sorry.
Probably best to add this.
Yeah, you can type it. And I want to ask or to answer the question that is in the chat, that if you find our article in Central Asian Survey, or if you look into this collection on Securityscapes that was published by Birmingham, I believe, University. There is a big theoretical articles about our understanding of security. We are part of the research that are not about governmental or official security policies and trends, but about everyday security that people invent to survive and secure their own lives when they cannot rely on the authorities. And in our countries, this is in some war zones. My students did it for Afghanistan, for example. There are a lot of Securityscapes for groups of people who cannot get the level of security from the people who have to provide them this, and they don't. So, and there is a bunch of research on this topic about Palestinians before all these things. I read the articles like before 2019, and it's very interesting how people do it. That's their own practices and their own attitude to the security, and usually it might have nothing in common with authoritative or official politics. They can create some alliances with people that authorities might consider like harmful or enemies, and do other things.
Okay, I just put her question in the chat as well.
I don't see. That was the question that I answered. Yeah, yes, and that's actually the third question that I put on my slide, that recognition policy that is many ways connected to visibility and your opportunity to express yourself in the way you want, In our countries, it's not actually, for now at least, it's not a good strategy. And unlike, for example, Ukraine, we never had like some parades or something. And another thing, many, not all of them, but many of our LGBT activists, they are quite left-oriented, and they have some issues about recognition policy, because when you are stepping into this discourse of your visibility and your right as a queer person, you immediately lose all your problems that you have as a worker, as oppressed women, as somebody who cannot like making a good career, not because you are gay, but because of other hierarchical problems that we have in our society. And they prefer to talk about this intersectional oppression, and in many cases, their sexuality is not the main problem, as in many poor countries. And they said we have other problems to worry about, so we can maintain our identity for now in a way more or less comfortable for us. We are not in some real physical danger from authorities' part. It's more like, as one of my friends joked, that our society is much more conservative than our government, because governments still have some obligations, signed some pacts and international agreements and other things, human rights convention after all. So some things they cannot do, but they can inspire, of course, some groups. And we mostly try to join some events like 8th March marches or May 1st demonstrations about labor rights and other things, and be part of this agenda with our maybe specific issues, but really specific issues, the really big problems, specific issues have transgender people. That's true, but it's everywhere. It's not just about us. That's really difficult to find a job, to keep that job, to be safe, and so on. But surprisingly, in our country, we have quite advanced legislation about changing documents, for instance, and that's not a very difficult procedure. It's still, if you want to some radical changes, you have to have money for surgeries or something, but it's kind of affordable to have hormonal therapy, and it's more or less possible to change your documents, except your tax security number, which is stupid. Because some of my friends, they changed passports, but there's tax security, social security code stayed as for their previous gender, and they couldn't get to change this. And usually officials like, this is a mistake. Yes, it's a mistake.
Thank you so much.
And guys, if you need some maybe texts or links for articles, for example, for everyday security, I have some articles. They are not completely fresh, but it's still like more or less like 2018 something. That's from the writing the book.
Thank you so much. So I have one question as well. So you mentioned that there seems to be more mainstream public events being held that are LGBT friendly, which makes me think, there's a bit more allyship going on in the new generation. But that stands in distinction to what you're talking about in terms of things getting more conservative religiously, things getting more authoritarian, more right-wing as part of the global sort of trend. Do you think these two things are coexisting at the same time, or are they?
It's kind of, kind of youth subculture. That's the authorities see it as, okay, that's young people, let them entertain. They are not, they are young after all, and so on. And as far as they don't go to politics, if it's about fashions, if it's about coffee, if it's about something else like that, they would tolerate it, I believe. They don't need some problems with young people, and they are not afraid of these people because who they are, that's like part of the Bishkek mostly youth, and maybe a little bit of Osh, and there are similar kind of communities in Tajikistan, not in Dushanbe, but in other cities, in Kazakhstan as well. So they don't consider them as dangerous yet. So, and these young people also, they don't pay attention. They are even a little bit who are not from the community, they are a little bit insulted when they have, for example, for parties, for night parties, there is still face control, and you have to have registration and some kind of QR code to be let in. And they like, oh, I forgot to download or something like that. And they are offended. Don't you like believe me? Because they didn't expect that it would be serious check at the doors. So they don't even consider that this is a serious question. People from the community, they are much more cautious about this. They accept these rules and follow these rules very thoroughly.
I mean, it seems like what you're saying is that the prefigurative strategy, the strategy of remaining out of politics, while constructing these parallel structures that don't confront the political hierarchy, are in a sense working to maintain sort of the balance and the ability for this community to continue to exist and construct these more open security-scapes, these heterotopias.
Yeah, I think maybe I'm not sure because the political life globally is so unpredictable that I don't know what to expect next. So it depends on, I think it depends on global agenda very much because we are a small country and our authorities will follow somebody and not probably the most progressive. I don't know.
It also reminds me of the political philosophy of the Baha'i people. I did a study, a part of my dissertation on Baha'i activists and sort of their approach to activism and advocacy. And it was interesting because it was always like do good and construct these sort of community-oriented structures that empower, but don't engage in politics in the formal sense. And they see it as sort of a protective and more effective way of contributing and maintaining sort of their approach. So it's interesting because they also have this prefigurative sort of style to
There is another thing that in our countries, politics is so much stained with suspicions about because they are dirty, they do awful things, and a lot of young, and not just young, but a lot of decent people, they don't go this way. They don't want to participate in these games, and they just avoid this sphere of it's much worse when they reach you when you are trying to keep distance. And another thing, the LGBT community always existed everywhere and they never disappeared, and I think they won't disappear in any case, whatever politics will be. And actually, I think if it wouldn't be specifically, how to say, specifically escalated, like some interest among people, the majority of people are quite neutral about this. They don't think about that for most of the time, unless it, I don't know, connect them personally, that somebody from their family or something like that, and they have to deal with that. But in many cases, they don't pay attention to that. And in Soviet Union, when the male gay people were criminalized, this law actually was used only for some other reasons. Nobody was never imprisoned because he was gay, for instance. He was in prison using this reason, this cause, but the real reason was like, I don't know, because he created some movies that authorities didn't like or do something like that. But if you were liked by authorities, like it was Yuri Zavatsky, for instance, very famous theatrical regisseur in Moscow. He was the big theater director for decades. Everybody knows that he's gay. Nobody pay attention to that. It is a little bit like double folded game. That's our politicians are in many ways, our policemen in many ways like that. Yes, some of them are really homophobic. They hate gay people by their guts. But it's a very few of them, the real really hate them. Most of them are indifferent, but they gladly use the issue to make some situation, to gain some scores on the elections.
There's some papers that call this leveraging or identity leveraging. Yeah. All right. Any last questions? We're almost out of time, but happy to take one more question if there's any.
You want to ask a question? What does it mean?
If someone else wanted to, just a very quick question. If you can say something about it's a methodological question about safety. How did you do the diary studies, the interviews? Are there any measures that are not the usual safety measures that you can share with us when you're doing such intimate work with?
I think that's more or less regular procedure to conduct participatory research. And I do this also with other communities that are not so open, sex workers, for instance. me and maybe some of my partners, we conducted training about taking interview, some ethical rules, explain the interview guide, purposes of research, other things. And for example, I invited, I did like call for letters of interest. About 20 people answered me from community they want. 15 people came to the seminar. 5 people stayed with me as a researcher. I believe that's 25% is a good result, and they did really good work because we always were like in contact. It was permanent. I wouldn't say supervision. We met together, all of us, and we discussed all the time what do they have, how to move forward, what else might be asked, what to do with these results. Because in some cases, especially with observations and diaries, it was about more like about grounded theory approach that you have to think about what will you do next. You didn't know like beforehand what you are going to do next. So it was collective work. I adore this type of work. I adore to work with gay people. I adore to work with sex workers. They are so great in data collection, and people talk to them. They wouldn't maybe talk to me, or at least they wouldn't tell me, or invite me to live with me, like in my apartment together. No way. But they are friends, so why not? Not friends, actually, we didn't do it with close friends, but they feel that this is part of community, it's safe, so.
I mean, how did you connect or protect sort of the privacy or security of people, especially like with the sex workers, where it's actually criminalized?
It wasn't criminalized till last August, but it's still not kind of criminalized. It's the fine is much bigger now. We never mention names, of course, in publications, in any publications. And in our case, I had to remove a lot of information from the quotes of interview because we are a small country, we have even smaller community, and some details about, for example, I had a shop that was like destroyed or something that immediately reveal your identity, your like personality, that everybody knows who it was, or something like that. So some things which might be very illustrative, for instance, I just removed them from publishing, and I haven't heard that somebody suffered from being recognized, or the girls who I couldn't remove. For example, if we have the only one nightclub and everybody knows who are the hostess, I asked them specifically, do they mind to give me the interview? I did it myself because I told them everybody would know that it's you who tell me about your blacklists. Like I wasn't worrying about police officers who probably don't read in English, but some of, I don't know, my students could read the text and then, she had me in the blacklist, why that I cannot get in the club or something. She said, okay, everybody knows anyway, so I don't hide it, that my security policy is transparent completely. So, of course, I didn't name them in the publication, but there are some people who are absolutely recognizable, but I have their permission for that. She said, everybody knows me anyway, so.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. That was great. All right. Thank you, everybody, for being here. And thank you again, Nina, for this fascinating talk. And hopefully we'll be in touch. Please do send us any links or documents
Okay,
that you...
I will send you. I have to look for them for some time. Didn't refer to this text, but I will.
Thank you. And if you're interested in the remainder of this series or this group, please sign up
I would like
on
to
our
get
blog.
some information. Put me on your list.
So you can sign up on our website. I just posted the link.
I can join.
Oh, sorry. One moment. Here we go. Yeah, so next month we have a talk by Stephanie Dornschneider-Elking, and we will also be running this series next year as well. So we hope to see you at some of the sessions. And thanks again.
Thank you. Thank you for
Bye-bye.
inviting me. Bye.